Today's episode of Tuhon and Son is brought to you by inaccurate and slightly insulting British voices.
I think so too.
Please, sir, I want some more Tuhon and Son. Welcome to the show today. I'm Ryan Stuckschalder.
And I'm Tuhon Philip Gelinas.
And we're speaking like we're professional wrestlers for a reason. Why? Because I get very bored in life. Anyway, today, special shout out before we even begin the show. Claudio, who comes to Gamma, last night said something to me, very sweet. He said, "Hey, you have a lot of followers." And I'm like, first off, I think that's a lie. But second of all, I am flattered. So he said, "You have a lot of followers. Can you please publicize the page or the group Kajukenbo Canada?" And I said, "Well, sure I can. However, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't think my post has any. I don't think you want the people up at 2 o'clock in the morning to like your page." If they are supposed to like Kajukenbo Canada. But I am throwing it out right now. I'm going to put it on the Tuhon Son page later today. But I'm also saying it to you right now. Like the Kajukenbo Canada page and or group. I can't remember at the moment because it was at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm a different person at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm hazy and grumpy and
some of the other seven dwarfs.
Exactly. So the not preemptive, I'm making up words right now. The testicular reason for the show today is we're talking about Team Sled Dog going to Toronto for the very first time. Now, Dad getting to the Toronto is a story by itself. Like, Dad, let's talk a little bit about what it took to get to Toronto this time. There was a couple of little Griswoldy type of situations that involved the car, you falling over, like stuff like that.
Well, no. That's actually, by the time we actually got on the road, everything was pretty normalized. But the weekend before, as in this was a few days ago, so about 9 days ago, we were in Vermont. And we were driving along a secondary road, basically from Vermont to New York. And while we were just almost at I guess it was the 87 highway, whatever the one that goes down from Montreal to Plattsburgh, there was this car driving behind us. We were along this road, and all of a sudden, Ruth, out of the back corner of her eye, saw in the rearview mirror that there was a car bearing down on us at a greater speed than was able to use to stop. And so we were convinced that he was going to smash into the back of our car and do us untold amounts of damage. But instead, he steered off to the side and went into the ditch. Well, into whatever that ditch was. It was kind of a lawn of somebody else's during the summer, but was just covered with snow. And he kind of sailed through tire level deep for about 40 or 50 yards, and then finally, with the momentum of the car, managed to come up on the other guy's driveway. And then, pretended that this is what he did all the time. And, I stopped, and we were kind of driving by going like, "Oh, my God, you almost killed us." And so that's what happened. And then I don't know what happened, but during the week, we were getting ready to go. We weren't sure if we were going to go because things were taking time. And then you actually were in the car with her. You were with my wife, Ruth, and you heard this thing. It sounded like a water flushing or something. I don't know exactly.
Pretty much like, when you half fill a jug full of water or something like that, you definitely hear, and you're turning it upside down, and you hear the water splooshing around. That's pretty much what happened when we started using the brakes. Just stop the car, then whoosh, and we're like, and Mom's like, "Oh God, we're going to Toronto. That's quite a long ride." And I'm like, "Yeah, and it's winter. And it's supposed to be cold this weekend." So to break down at this point would be notoriously terrible.
Yeah, it would be bad. Anyway, so we decided at the last minute. I had already decided. When I got the message on Thursday, my comment was, "Look, worst case scenario, we'll rent a car. If we rent a car, because we want to go down, we want to start this thing. We've been sort of doing starts and stops, not really being able to do it properly. And we've been saying, yeah, let's do it. And then we'd never do it. And then finally we got a date. We had the space. We have everything set up. And if we didn't show up, that would have been like the camel or the straw that broke the camel's back. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to go. So we went off and rented a car. It was a Kia Soul. And that became our car for the weekend.
Just to mention though, Dad, wasn't your ribs hurting?
Oh gosh, yeah. On Thursday night, it was snowing on Thursday night, and I taught a class, and Ruth, because of the car not running, she sometimes, when I teach late, will come down and pick me up. But she said, "The car's not working. I'm not going to go anywhere with the car. You're going to have to come home on your own." As if somehow, like, oh my God, I might have to stay downtown. I can't actually get on a metro and go 6 stops all by myself. This is impossible. So no, I decided to do it. Anyway, I got off the metro. Everything was fine. I was walking from Villa Maria Metro along
Doesn't matter.
Monkland. I was walking along Monkland. I don't know. It's for me. I need to know these things. I was walking along Monkland, and then I saw a bus that's going up at the corner of Girard. So I started running. Well,
I would just like to say, before Dad says all this, that we're talking maybe 4.5 minutes more of walking, like maybe. So keep this in mind, and don't spare the details, Father. Okay, don't spare.
Okay, so I'm walking along, and I decide. I see the bus, and I see that it's a red light, and I think if I can run, I can make it. So I run across the road, at which point the surface of the road became immediately, there was no traction left. So I slipped and I rolled, and I landed on my often carried bag, and I heard a crack. I thought it might have been in my rib because I hurt my rib. And I landed on the thing, and it was like, oh my God, I hope I haven't hurt my rib. I haven't broken my rib. But I just sort of I ran to the bus. I had a little conversation with the guy about my gymnastic ability and spectacularness of it. And I got off the bus at the corner of my street. And
One stop later,
yeah. And I got off the corner. It's a long block. Come on, shut up, eh? Anyway, so I came in.
tell it to your ribs.
And yeah, but I came in and everything. I wasn't sure if I'd been really injured or not, and so I went in the house and as I stretched around, poked into my ribs. I mean, I can still feel the place where it popped or it did something, but it didn't break, at least not I know of, and didn't crack anything. And more importantly, none of my geek stuff in my bag was broken, which was more important to me than anything else. And so...
As you sit there nursing your rib, you're like, not my iPad, not my iPad.
Exactly. Hey, you got it, because your ribs will heal. You have to buy a new iPad.
All right, and the drive, how was the drive? Because it was like pretty messy out there. Like there was freezing rain. There was a...
Well, yeah, but actually, they didn't have any of this stuff in Toronto on the weekend. They had a very clean, easy, no problem weekend. And so by the time we got to Kingston, freezing rain had stopped. There wasn't any problems. And we just drove along easily, getting to where we were going to stay on Saturday night in Whitby. And then we got up the next morning, drove into Mississauga, met my friend Renee and Rahel, my friends Renee and Rahel, and we had breakfast. Yeah, and then we went off to the seminar, and everything went very well. We had 18 people.
Awesome. And let's talk a little bit about the weekend. You've been trying to get Team Sled Dog down to Toronto for a while now. Or any highlights of the weekend that you would like to talk about? And if you don't, I could always edit it out.
Well, I mean, it's always really nice to see my friends in Toronto, but Team Sled Dog, I mean, the idea of Team Sled Dog isn't too much to Team Sled Dog, but I've realized that what I practice in Paquita Tercia isn't always the same stuff that everybody else practices. I mean, I've had this June, it'll be 35 years I've been doing this stuff. And when we first started doing it, or when I first started doing it with the people who were doing it, the method that we practiced that was written about in the various magazines that Grant Tuhon was gracious enough to give interviews for, was called the 12 Methodos, or the 12 methods. And that's what I've been studying pretty intently over these past 35 years. Then in 1988, Grant Tuhon returned to live in the Philippines for about 12 years. And during that time, he reworked the whole system and then referred it to, generally it's called the Tri-V method or the Pecadum Trigo, or there's a bunch of other new words to describe how it works. And it doesn't exactly work the same way. So all the stuff that I've been practicing like a crazy person to try and get good at is not really as consistent in the regular trading method. But I've come to the conclusion that it is, I'm trying to learn the new stuff, but the old stuff hasn't fallen on hard times. It's not bad. It works very well. And so my method, what we've referred to as the basically as Team Sled Dog, is just the propagation of the dosimethodos. I have some people that have been teaching. Well, I have a couple of students that have been with me for almost 30 years, and I've got other guys who have been with me for quite a while, and we've been doing this stuff. And a lot of our guys are dog brothers. I mean, full dog brothers. We've been fighting for a long time. I was right there at the very beginning. Eric Knaus has been a friend of mine since before the dog brothers. I met Mark, of course, Denny before the dog brothers there. And so my experience has been that the dosimethodos is a very effective method. It's not to say that the newer method isn't just as good or better, but it's the one I know very, very well, and that's what we're trying to propagate. We're trying to show the new method, we're trying to show the dosimethodos from the beginning, and so that people will not lose sight of the fact that this material is very, very good and is still very workable in a full contact or whatever other situation we want to find ourselves in.
Well, all right there. All right. What minute are we at? We're at 11 minutes. We're going to keep the show a little short today because pretty much, well, it takes less time to put up. Was there anything about the weekend that you particularly took with you? Like when you came back, you're like, oh, God, I'm glad that happened.
Well, just all the people that were there. I mean, I was there are some people that I hadn't been able to train with for quite a while. There were a lot of people who actually had said that they were going to show up but didn't show up. And because of circumstances, I have to look forward to them showing up again. We're going to be going back again in about 6 or 8 weeks, and we're looking forward to that. And that's one of the best parts about this whole thing is the fact that we're getting to show the material that we have. People are getting to choose it. That we don't force people to learn it or force people to do it. But one of the things is because we have been so front and center in the Dog Brothers. I mean, we have our own. We're the headquarters of the Canadian Dog Brothers. So we are we have a Canadian gathering every year that's coming up. This one's coming up in July this year, and we're starting to realize that if you take what you know and you actually bring it to a place where it can be practiced in a full contact type of way, so you get to see whether or not it works because of what it does, not because of who you think you are. You're able to make these things happen, and you're able to. So that's for us. That's kind of the Team Sled Dog thing, like looking at Paquita Tercia through an applicable way, rather than just saying, "Okay, this works like this." Well, that's great, and you're proof. And so that's the thing. So most systems basically have to come up with, especially nowadays, with the reality fighting and the UFC and places like that. People aren't really interested in learning methods that may not bear fruit. Especially nowadays, there's a great reliance on something called tactical fighting, which seems to be a blend of police/military and the system itself. So you'll have people who practice police-based stuff or military-based stuff. A couple of years ago, I was privileged that I was given a contract to teach some of our military people, and so it just goes to show you there that what we do is considered valid and reasonably good, and we have to keep aware of the fact that if you are not maintaining the sharpened edge of what you do, someone else will come along behind you and make you realize that you've done something wrong. In parlance, we have to watch our six. That's like tactical talk.
Yeah, like you never know. Like when you chase that bus, if you're gonna, yeah, you're gonna take a plunge.
You may slip up. Things aren't cracked up to be this way, but
yeah. Oh. In other news, for the last 3 minutes of the show, little non-martial arts talk, but as predicted, Deadpool is a huge movie, and
I hear that it's even beaten out in world sales some of the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, well, in Russia, they had a bigger opening than Star Wars did.
Did they open Star Wars?
Because I think because he's dressed like a commie. Anyhow, they're like, oh yes, big red superhero. Rush.
And he has samurai sword.
Oh, and Colossus is a Russian character, so they're like, yes, our super metal man.
But didn't a girl punch him in the face and knock him out?
That was a great movie. Oh, we saw that movie, Dad.
Actually, it was Gina Carroll.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw that movie together. Dad, what was your opinion on it?
I thought it was a great movie. I think that Ryan Reynolds, is that the guy? Anyway, so I don't want to blow it too badly, but Ryan Reynolds was the perfect kind of foil for that movie's character, because the big problem with that is that it needs a sarcastic cynicism that goes along with it, and if you don't have that kind of almost secondary, it's like he's talking as a narrator to his own stuff, and it really, really works, because here he is, basically, because he can do all these really stupid things and not worry, because if he gets shot, well, he just heals himself. So he doesn't have to pay the ultimate price too often every day.
Yeah. It's interesting. What was the name of the Ultimate Fighter that plays the actress in it again?
Gina Carano.
Well, the thing about Gina Carano that's interesting, and this is the last 4 minutes of the show, so as far as I'm concerned, it's free reign. If you stuck around this long, then you're in for the long haul. That's the thing. Now I'm petrified to talk about anything that's not martial arts because of it affects the numbers. They're like, what the hell?
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Anyway, what about Gina Carano?
Yeah, I feel like Billy Joel in the 80s or something. Anyway, so...
I could take this foot and put it beside your face, and there's not a
That's
thing.
Billy Jack, Dad.
Billy Jack, Billy Joel. Is there a difference?
Yeah, one's a Piano Man. One of them is the worst movie I've ever seen. Oh, God, we are so going to have a screening of Billy Jack here with live commentary. That's
No. You got to have...
You're going to defend it? I'm going to tear it apart.
No. Billy Jack 1 was on the edge of absurdity. But Billy Jack 2, now that was a piece of crap.
Okay. All right. So anyhow, Gina Carano?
Carano, yeah.
Gina Carano. The interesting thing about Gina Carano and seeing like they're casting a strong, capable, a very attractive woman to play this character is that I would have preferred them cast her in a role like Wonder Woman, where it's not just some pretty 100-pound actress adapting to fighting. It would have been great to them to actually cast somebody who's just kind of like, okay, well, this person already knows how to fight, and all they have to do is adapt themselves to the Hollywood way of fighting. But when they punch and kick, there's an understanding subconsciously in their brain.
It worked.
Yeah.
It's kind of too bad, because the way that an awful lot of these people, the choreography works, is that you see, in a lot of really good movies nowadays, they're using really good martial artists who have had a lot of martial arts experience, and so when they come up, even going back to the Bourne series, the Jason Bourne series, though a lot of that stuff was done by people that are affiliated with, not necessarily affiliated with us, but one of my instructors, Guru Dan Inosanto, has been an amazing instructor in Los Angeles for many, many years. Of course, anybody who knows him knows that he is or was Bruce Lee's top student, or the most decorated student, if you will. And this guy, he's still teaching. He's approaching 80 years old, and he's still teaching, 40, 50 weekends a year. I mean, this guy is amazing. He's going to be here, actually, in April 23rd and 24th. Shameless plug. Anyway, but...
it's kind of a necessary evil in this business, Dad.
Yeah, I realize that, but, you kind of want to... people go, you step over, aren't you having Dan Inosanto at your place? Yes, on April 23rd and 24th. Why? Are you coming? Oh. Anyway, so... but the guys who put together the team for the Jason Bourne stuff, they're descendants of Dan Inosanto. The guys who did the John Wick stories, they are also associated with. I mean, he has had, even though he may not have been in a lot of movies himself, he's had a far greater, overwhelming effect on the quality of the martial arts movies that have been coming out of Hollywood in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, just you bringing up John Wick and especially even the first Jason Bourne movie, like, those are fight scenes that you could really feel hit your face as a viewer. Like, I've seen a lot of fight scenes that seem really kind of useless. Like,
well, I think what happens is that you have different people who make decisions in these kind of movies. Sometimes it's the director. Sometimes it's the second unit director, who's kind of the stunt guy. So it all depends on who has the skill and who has the last word. So if the guy who has the skill also has the last word, then he can make sure that he'll make sure that it looks really good, because in his perception of things, that's what it has to do. But sometimes when it's somebody, who has a we'll call it a vision, and sometimes that vision sucks beyond belief. Well, then they'll have the last word, and so it's kind of like no. I want them to whistle as they're doing their killing. Sort of a la what's it called? What was it? The Dancing in the Rain thing with Clockwork Orange, and Stanley Kubrick was able to do that and do it well. But if you're trying to mimic that and maybe not do it as well, it's not going to work as well. So you have to have somebody who really has a way of understanding what they're looking for, how to execute it, the skilled people to do the execution, and to being able to say that this is what they want. Because nowadays, I don't know, I hear about movies that are basically edited by committee, and I can't imagine. I mean, sometimes you need somebody who has a really, really strong voice, and so that people say, okay, well, that person, I'll back their vision because this is sound like a really good idea. Because sometimes, even though, going back to Deadpool, it's a great movie, and has been doing very well in the box office, that by circumstances, sometimes if you have the wrong PR or the wrong publicity or the wrong person, then poof, the thing doesn't work at all. And how do you figure that out? You don't. It's afterwards you go, we should have used Joe instead of Dave. But you only have that kind of thing, hindsight is 20/20. Same deal with this.
Well, I'm just going to give a little bit of a shout out there to everybody who likes your comic book movies raw and R-rated. A forgotten gem that was an absolute bomb at the box office, but a $1 billion winner in my personal taste was the movie Dredd. And it's starring Carl Irving, I believe his name is, and he plays Bones in the new Star Trek movies, but he played Dredd, and it was wicked, and it was kind of like Die Hardy, where it all takes place in one day. He gets stuck in the building. It's all of them against a bunch of people. And Dredd's just awesome. And, didn't get any love because, I don't know, I guess it didn't star Ryan Reynolds, right?
or Ryan Stick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, coming to a theater near you. Background performer.
Stunt guy, and one-word line guy. Ryan's going to be in a TV series very soon, not as a background performer.
I speak in it. I'm a bum that gets woken up. So many people can say it's autobiographical. 19.2 coming out, I don't know, eventually. But anyway, I think I'm in episode 10 or something like that. And if they wake up a homeless guy and you're like, hey, that guy looks like he's clearly on drugs. Well, it's me and I wasn't. But anyway, from everyone at Tuhon & Son, thank you very much for sticking around. Dad, it was nice geeking out with you there. Little MMA takes over Hollywood thing. One more shout out. My other favorite Marvel movie out ever is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and he takes on GSP in it and kicks him in the face. And I think what's really cool about taking MMA guys that are subconsciously in all our brains, like the biggest guys in the business, these guys know how to fight. When you put them in the movies and you get them to fight people, it gives whatever fight scene they have a lot more legitimacy as opposed to if he was fighting like John Lovitz with a really good stuntman.
Well, another movie that's going to be coming out is the remake of Kickboxer. That movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme and those other guys anyway, and it has George St. Pierre in it and a bunch of other guys, and it's supposed to be, they've been really pushing it. I mean, a lot of times, sometimes when you hear things being pushed and they aren't as good as they're supposed to be, but this one, I'm told from people I know that it's actually supposed to be pretty good, so I'm waiting to see it.
All right. Sounds good. From everyone at Tuhon & Son, I am Ryan Stick Gelina.
And I'm Philip, occasionally forgetful, Tuhon Gelina.
Yeah, and you've been listening to Tuhon & Son. Join us at 1117 St. Catherine Street West in Montreal, Suite 222. The phone number is 514-281-9928. The website is montrealmartialarts.com, which shows we've been here a while, because if you get that domain, you were one of the first, Now, yeah, when you go Montreal Martial Arts, us, yeah.
Us, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to find a funny to go out on because, all right, well, here's the funny little thing we're going to go out on. Mom's going to go see it next week with her friend. And I said, really? You're going to go? She's like, yeah, we're going to go see Deadpool.
That's first name, second name.
I'm like, Mom, it's not about a pool. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to Tuhon & Son. Ryan Stick Gelina, Philip Gelina, saying good night, good luck, and go see the movie. All right, bye.